Hello, I'm Michael. This is the Echo World's Magical Extras. We've been experimenting with it, and last week, or the week before, the story I told got pretty good response. So I thought we'd take that a next step further. A lot of people have asked me where I developed my interest in ancient Latin American culture and why it's become such a passion for me. So let's start at the beginning. Early on, I was interested in things metaphysical, being the son of a funeral director. Um, Read books like Edgar Cayce, of course, and Sybil Leek, uh, and Lobsang Rampa. Was introduced to the witches of Salem, Massachusetts, and studied with them. And there I learned to read the tarot. Uh, when I went to college in Boston, my first semester, I had many years ago, I had a professor who had just returned from a tour of Latin America. Her passion from what she had seen was amazing. She especially loved Peru. And by the end of the class, not quite Christmas, I knew that I had no choice but to go see it firsthand. So I said goodbye to family and friends, didn't have a lot of money, but was determined, and hitchhiked out of Boston in a blizzard down to Miami, where I caught an inexpensive plane, relatively speaking, and flew to Lima. When I landed in Lima, I had $30 in my pocket. That makes you very resourceful. I was determined to see as much of Latin America as I could, so I went into Lima. On the way there, met some people who took a liking to me. They took me home and fed me. They handed me off to cousins in Lima, who handed me off to friends down by Pisac along the coast, and I got to see the Nazca lines and the way the Peruvian people live from their heart and care about people and will take strangers into their home and share their food and their hospitality and their family and their stories. I just spun my head. It was like nothing I had run into before. From Pisac and the Nazca lines, I went on to the Arequipa and the Coca Canyon, which are amazing places. And then from there, I went on to Lake Titicaca and Puno, and I got to see the amazing Ural islands that are made from reeds and float in the middle of Lake Titicaca, and the Isle of the Sun and the Moon for the first time, which is the birthplace of the Incas. From there, I was told that I really had to take a train. It was cold and it's going up higher, so I got in a cattle car because that was the cheapest way to do it, and was heading up towards Cusco. This sweet old Quechuan, which is the native people, the descendants of the Inca man, said to me, "Hey, gringo," in broken Spanish, because he didn't speak much Spanish and I didn't speak much Spanish. "Hey, gringo, where are you going on Christmas Eve?" And I said, "Oh, I'm taking the train to Cusco." He said, "Do you have friends or family there?" I said, "No." "Well, don't go there on a cold Christmas Eve. Come home to me." So we got up and we hiked up in the mountains to his extended family, where he introduced me, and we had feast of guinea pigs and alpaca, and sang songs, and they told stories in their broken Spanish. And it was glorious. The next morning, he took me up higher in the mountains and pointed down to the coast, and he said, "There on the coast, that's our reservation. That's where we keep the European and white people who think they run the country. They think we're dirt. We are. We're very happy dirt." I stayed with them for a while, and then I went on to Cusco, which is an amazing city, one of my favorite in the world. There I met some students from all over the place, one from Argentina, one from Peru, some from Mexico, a couple from the States, and we agreed to take the train to hike up the Inca Trail. Back then, the Inca Trail was not very well known, and neither was Machu Picchu. It wasn't the seventh wonder of the modern world as it is today. And it was glorious to hike in the Andes Mountains. Uh, and a couple of these guys had been to Machu Picchu before. When we finally got up there after days of hiking, we stopped in what used to be the supply village for Machu Picchu outside called Huayna Huayna. And then one of the students led us around and gave us a tour. There were no tour guides. There were no gates. There was one small hotel at the time. This was a while back. I am old on some levels. And we toured the whole thing for a day, and then they were going on to Veracamba, which was the last refuge of the Incas who fought against the Spanish. But I couldn't leave, so I stayed in Huayna Huayna, and there was a cave there, so I camped in the cave, and I had 2 loaves of bread and some water, and I figured, I can make this last. I really want to explore it. The first night, as I slept, I had dreams of the Inca gods and goddesses, who I heard of course, since I was in Peru, but didn't know too well. And they were jumping on my back. When I woke up, my loaf of bread had a bite-sized bite out of it. And I hadn't done that. I went down and I explored Machu Picchu. That was lovely. And then the next night, I had these dreams. They were just amazing. They were the Inca gods and goddesses, the whole pantheon. Veracancha, the creator god; Inti, the sun god; Pachamama, the moon god; Pachamama, the god of the earth, goddess of the earth, and many others. They told me that I had made a deal with them, and it was a very lucid dream. I said, no, you got the wrong boy. I've never been to Peru before. I know very little about Incas, and I can't even say my A's right. But they were insistent that I had made a deal with them in a past life, that I was going to come forth and bring forward information, lost knowledge of the Incas. They didn't make me feel like I was the chosen one or a messiah. They just made me feel like I was one who was supposed to perform this task. I refused. I was in college. I had a plan with my life. It wasn't this. That night in the early morning, I woke up and I went down, and in a trance, I walked around Machu Picchu knowing the ruins, feeling the ancient mysticism. I had a hard time resting the next day and evening, and the next night they were threatening me. They were threatening to kill everyone I loved and destroy everything I cared about if I didn't hold true to the dream. Then I jumped up in a trance-like state and hiked into Machu Picchu and danced. I'm a white boy. I've never been a great dancer, but I danced like I had never danced. And then I climbed up to Huayna Picchu, the mountain that overlooks Machu Picchu, in the dark, without a flashlight. Not a wise thing to do. I got to the top, and I felt the rays of Machu Picchu and the ancient energies floating over me. I climbed back down the mountain in the dark and went to the Temple of the Moon that's on the other side, and then found my way back to Machu Picchu, where I danced around like I had never danced, and I felt like I was dancing with many gods and goddesses and ghosts of times past. The next day, I was afraid to leave my cave. I didn't know what was going on, and that night, they came to me again and really threatened to destroy everything, and gave me flashes of another life or lives that I might have lived in as an Inca. When I woke up in the morning, I had had quite enough, and I stood out overlooking the Apus, which is the gods and goddesses of the Andes Mountains, and I said, okay, we've got a deal. Let's make a deal. If you let me go back and finish up my college, I will do whatever it is you want of me. Don't make deals with Incan gods and goddesses. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get right back. Take two. Oh, continuing. We're back in the Andes. I made a deal with the gods and goddesses. I told that story to my wife, and she said, "How stupid can you be to make a deal with gods and goddesses?" Well, pretty stupid. Um, my life took many turns unexpectedly after I finished college. Every chance I could, I ended up going back to Latin America. I had the honor of, because I had met people and they knew I was interested in the ancient ways, being introduced to elders and shamans from all over the Andes and the Amazon. And then when I got married the first time uh, and decided to adopt children, the only country that was available turned out to be Peru in the middle of a civil war. So I went down and adopted my two children uh, in the middle of a civil war, which was supposed to take 2 weeks and ended up taking 6 months. It was quite an experience. I'll tell that another story. But what I've written is, and told this story at the beginning of The Secrets of the Ancient Incas, which I tried to bring forth a lot of the spiritual tools of the Incas that I've found in research and in talking to the elders and shamans and in um, trance and lucid dreaming, even astral travel, if you will. And I wrote The Secrets of the Amazon Shamans, which talks of travels in the Amazon. I really feel that Machu Picchu now has changed its purpose from them, repositioned itself, so to speak, that it is an inoculation to, because over 500,000 tourists go there a day now. And they get to know that there is something more. There are ancient mysteries. There have been many tours and many books around Latin America. I'm not the only, I'm not the first, I'm probably not the best, but I really feel that what the Incas knew has been lost, that the European conquest truncated amazing wisdom and way of living that was nonlinear, that was non-capitalist, that was connected to nature and had a certain understanding of the humans' positions in the cycle of things. As I said, from then on, I've gone back to Latin America every chance I can get, and I've met many, many amazing people. I've done quite a bit of research, and if it calls to you, there's so many books and videos online, and I advise you to do your research, and if you can get it together, go down, spend some time there. It's just awesome. So that's today's Magical Extra story. Thanks so much for listening.